Hey, hi guys, my name is Akbar. Welcome back to my channel. So we have seen in my last class how to create an infrastructure through Terraform, right? So I have my code here. I'm going to clone this code into my Visual Studio, which I've already done. From here, when I execute Terraform commands, the infrastructure is going to create in my Azure portal. Okay. Currently, I don't have any resource group, any virtual networks. I don't have none of the resources in my Azure portal. Okay. So the ultimate agenda is I am going to get the code from the GitHub into my Visual Studio. Once I get the code, what I'll do, I'll run a Terraform commands here. Once I run the Terraform commands in my Visual Studio, I can see the resources is going to create here. Okay. So let's see. This is what the Visual Studio. So what I have done is initially, you know, right, how to clone the repository from GitHub. I've shown you previously. When you just give here clone git repository and give the URL, you will get this screen. Okay. So now I am into my Terraform code. Let me just give you a quick walkthrough of the resources, whatever I am going to create. See, it's going to create a resource group, Azure RM resource group, var.env-rg. So var.env from where it is going to take. So here, environment variable environment. Okay. Now, what is the value for this env environment variable? Env environment variable is value is YouTube audience. Okay. That's how the basic things. And we need to understand providers.tf. So it's going to get Azure RM plugin, which will help to connect to the cloud. And we need to have to create a service principal account, and we have to give these details. This is a subscription, you know, right? How the subscription is being given. What is my subscription ID? So this is my subscription ID. Okay. So where? Here it is. So this is the subscription ID. Now, what I have to do, I have to create a service principal account so that I can get the details here. So what I will do, I'll go to app registration. I'll go to new registration. TF user, YouTube audience. Let the be default here. So I'll go with the web one, web option. This is I'm going to create a service principal in Azure, which will help to see here client ID. What is the client ID? I have copied this 552. What is the client ID? I'll just replace over here. Okay. Now the client ID has been replaced. What is next? Tenant ID. Where is the tenant ID here? Tenant ID. This is the tenant ID. If you go and look into my previous videos, I've clearly shown you how to download with all the links of how to download Visual Studio, how you create your GitHub account, how you're gonna sync everything, okay, with all the links. So now the next is client secret. I've given tenant and the client secret I have to give here. For the client secret, what I have to do, I have to go for certificates and secrets. Under the certificates and secrets, you have to create new client secret. Just give anything description for YouTube tenants. Okay. Now copy this value here. Make sure you have to copy the value, not the secret ID, which is very important. Okay. I've copied the value. So one more thing before, so this time I am planning to create a Terraform state file in a respective resource group in respective storage account in the container. So this infrastructure we have to create in advance in the portal because I want to maintain my Terraform state files centralized. Okay. So that's the reason. So I'll take the Terraform name, copy from here. I'll go to my resource group, create resource group. I'll give the same name, whatever is there mentioned in the it's Terraform. Yeah. Make sure spelling everything is correct. East US. Next tags. Next. Let everything be default. Okay. No need to change anything. I just want to create infrastructure to maintain my Terraform state file centralized. In my last video, I have created a code, whatever it maintains the Terraform state file locally, not centralized in the respective storage account. Okay, now I'm going to create a storage account. Create. What is the name of the storage account that I have to give here? Terraform 760. I'm just going with all the default options. Now, why I'm creating a resource group, respective storage account, everything means I want to maintain my Terraform state file centralized. Whenever any changes is happening, you are having your Terraform state file not locally. This is what going to happen in a real-time environment. The Terraform state file will be maintained in some Azure storage account container where your data will be safe. So click on create. Now it's initializing the deployment. So before it goes here, first the prerequisites, what we need to do. Once we understand about the code, right? This is your resource group, this is your storage account, this is your container name, what is going to create in the storage. So we have to wait once the storage completed, then we can create a container. And main.tf file, this particular code, what it is going to create in the Azure is it's going to create a resource group. It's going to create a virtual network. It's going to create a subnet, which is a public subnet. And now it is next is going to create a private subnet. That's how it goes. Okay, go to resources, go to container, create container. I've given the container name as per my code. Okay. Now, once I execute the code, what you can see here in the respective container, you can see the Terraform state file here. That's the reason. Okay. Now I'm going back to my. So this is the proper code which gonna create the infrastructure. This is my providers. I've given my providers very clearly, all the passport, everything. Okay. Now, what I will do, I'll just clear the screen. Now, the first thing is Terraform init. Why I am executing Terraform init in the sense, Terraform init talks about provider, which provider has been mentioned to connect to respective cloud. If you want to connect to Azure cloud, you have to use a provider called Azure RM. So in my last video, I've given you how to search for provider, which cloud, which provider, everything. Like you have Azure RM is for Azure. AWS provider is for AWS cloud. GCP is for GCP. So it's initializing. So we have to wait here. So we have done with the prerequisites. We have created a required infrastructure to maintain our Terraform state file, and we are going to create the infrastructure with the help of Terraform code in the Azure portal by using Terraform commands, where we have installed properly our Terraform, and we have maintained the system variable path. Okay, Terraform initialization is done. Previously installed. Okay. Initializing the provider plugin, reusing the previous version of HashiCorp from the dependency log file using previously. Okay. Terraform plan. Now the Terraform plan is going to show what it's going to create. Okay. If your service principal and everything is going to be created, then only it can able to create this subscription ID, tenant ID, client ID, and client secret. Everything has to be perfect. Go to app registrations. Check view all. TF user YouTube audience. This is my application ID and this is my tenant ID. Application ID is 552. Let's cross check. 552. Okay. F97. That's perfect. And the client secret. Client secret means you have to go to the class certificates and secrets. See, this is not in readable format now. This is a one-time activity. So you have to copy the value properly. So BW6 it is shown. BW6, yeah, that's perfect. So let's see how the Terraform plan is executing. Unable to list registration status, it is unable due to invalid credentials or the service principal doesn't have a permission. Oh, okay. It says service principal doesn't have a permission on the resource manager. For this, when it is saying, see, provider registration status, it is due to invalid credentials. Service principal doesn't have permissions to the resource group. So whatever the service principal I have created is it is not having a permissions on the resources. It means the service principal what I have created here, this one, is not having to touch the resource permissions to create the resources in the Azure portal. So this particular service principal needs an access at a subscription level. So let me go to subscription. Let me go to my Azure subscription. I'll go on access and control. I'll give a contributor access. Okay. So go for contributor. Next, select members. See Terraform user YouTube audience. So I have to give permissions. So make sure whatever the service principal you are going to create, that service principal has to be a contributor at your subscription level. Then only your service principal can able to authorized to create an access to create a resources. Now let me go back to my and execute it once again, the Terraform plan. See, when I'm trying to cross check, it is having a contributor access. So what is that Who is having contributor access? TF user YouTube audience. Now let me go back to my code in Visual Studio. Now the Terraform, okay, it's got executed perfectly. So it shows that it's about to create all those infrastructure. Terraform use selected providers. Terraform resource group main, Terraform private subnet. It is talking about public subnet. It means it's telling that whatever you maintain in your main.tf, that particular infrastructure is going to create. Okay. Now I'm going to give Terraform apply. So when I give Terraform apply, so you have to monitor your stuff. You have to check your resource group. So this is a Terraform resource group which I have created without infrastructure. I mean without Terraform code. Now there is a one more resource group is going to create with the help of Terraform as per our plan here. Where.env-rg. What is this env value in Terraform.tf vars? YouTube audience. So it is going to create YouTube audience -rg. That would be the name of the resource group. That would be the name of VNet. YouTube audience VNet. YouTube audience public subnet. YouTube audience private subnet. That's how it's going to create based on the value what you have provided to your variable env YouTube audience. Let me first see whether the infrastructure has been created. Do you want to perform these actions? Terraform will perform the action described. Only yes. Okay. It's asking your confirmation. I said yes. After yes, it's going to execute everything whatever I've mentioned. Values. So Terraform.tf vars is talk about the values to your variables, which is very important. So you have to understand what are your values you are passing on. What is your value you're passing on, the IP address to your VNet, IP address to your subnet. There's a two subnet. One is the private, other one is public. Good to go. We have done it. So simple, guys. I didn't do anything much here. Just get the code from the GitHub. Just get the code from the GitHub into my Visual Studio. Once I get the code into the Visual Studio, I have created a Terraform stateful related infrastructure in advance because we have to maintain that our Terraform stateful when is as soon as it executes. After that, we need to give the values here. I have created an app registration. Under the app registration, I have created a service principal account. See this service principal account. So we have to give the inputs: application client ID, tenant ID, and the secret ID. Apart from this, when you create a service principal, and that particular service principal need to have access at your subscription level. If you don't give an access at a subscription level, what will happen? What will happen? You will get this kind of an error, which says about your service principal can't create an infrastructure. Unable to list provider registration. Service principal does not have permission to the resource manager API. For this level of permission, I have given this at a subscription level, a contributor level of access. If you want to give access, you have to go to IAM. You have to click on add and you can give the access. If you want to check access, which I've already given, so which user you're talking about, by default, it won't be visible. You have to give the name of the service principal, see contributor access. That's how it is. Okay. Now let me go back to my Visual Studio to check whether how the execution is happening. Wow, it says resources 4 added 0, resource 4 added, 0 change and 0 destroyed. Means it our Terraform code has created 4 resources. Let's go back and see what are those Terraform resources which we have created in Azure. Resource group. Yeah, see, YouTube audience, right? You remember this about the value I've given -RG. See, YouTube audience -VNet. This is my virtual network. And I have created a 2 subnet. There is subnet option. Here it is subnet. If you want to see the name, YouTube audience, private subnet. YouTube audience, public subnet. Okay. This is how it works. My virtual network, my couple of subnets has been created. And let's go and check the Terraform state file under this. As per our expectations, it has been deployed there or not. So this is my container. So this is my, okay, fantastic. I got my Terraform state file. Then it has been got generated 15th October 2023, 1:20. What is the time now? 1:24. Just a 4 minutes back, I have executed my code here. That's how it is. Fantastic. So with the help of code, what we have got from the GitHub, I clone the code into the GitHub. Sorry, my bad. We got the code from GitHub. This code we clone into our Visual Studio. In the Visual Studio, we have executed the commands after creating a service principal account in Azure portal. That for that service principal account, we have given as access at a subscription level. What level of access we have given? We have given the contributor level of access. Hope you guys are clear on it. Let me repeat the overall agenda, what I have done for this video overall again. So here is the link which I have got the code. This code I have flown into my Visual Studio. In this Visual Studio, I have given some inputs like tenant ID, client ID, and client secret. For this, you have to create a service principal account in Azure. And that service principal need to have an access at your subscription level, contributor level of access, so that it can access and create a resources in Azure. That's how the overall picture is. Thank you very much, guys, working really hard to give a quality content and direct lab without wasting any time, anywhere, without any theory. I'm directly giving you the core quality content. The same steps, if you follow, you can do the magic. You can do the lab on your own by sitting at home. No need to go anywhere. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time and patience. Please encourage my channel. Please click on like and subscribe my channel. Thank you very much. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye. See you in next session. Thank you.